Thank you for joining us. You're watching a career success video from Computer Coach. Computer Coach is a Tampa-based computer training center specializing in helping IT and business professionals add on the skills they need to reach their desired career goals. If you are job searching, in transition, or are looking for guidance, please feel free to reach out to us at www.computercoach.com. Now, let's get started.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to our Computer Coach webinar, our guest speaker series. We're excited to have you with us. My name is Danielle Ori. I'm the Director of Career Services at Computer Coach. And I just want to give you a brief overview for those of you who are not familiar with Computer Coach, let you know what we're all about and how we can help you and help others excel in the world of IT and business careers. So at Computer Coach, we're dedicated to empowering individuals and organizations through comprehensive IT training courses. We offer a variety of courses in 5 key areas of IT, and those include coding, cybersecurity, infrastructure, data, and business topics like project management, business analysis, and much more. When you choose Computer Coach, you're not just gaining knowledge, you're joining a community of passionate learners and industry experts committed to your success. And so today's webinar is brought to you by our Career Services Department. And as a Computer Coach student, you gain access to these invaluable resources. If you have any questions or would like additional details, you can reach out to us for a free career strategy session. We're certainly here to support you in reaching your goals. And one of the amazing ways we're going to do that is with our first guest speaker of 2024, Liz M. Lopez, Executive Career Coach. Today, she's going to be talking about permission to dominate your career. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Liz. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danielle. You know, it's been several years now that I've been collaborating with Computer Coach, and I just want to give such a shout out because the work that you do is so inspiring. You open doors for people to come in and make really powerful career transitions, and you not only support them in what they're learning, but also in just shaping their identity as a new person, perhaps in the IT world, and giving them so many resources to promote themselves in the job market and as they grow in leadership. So thank you so much for everything that you do, and thank you for having me here today. We're going to start with just a little bit of an introduction so you have an idea of who I am and why I get to tell you the things that I'm telling you. And then we're going to go into some really deep topics about you claiming control over your career and really setting your path, whether that's within the IT world or in any other area that your passion is taking you to. So I am Coach Liz M. Lopez. I've been working in this space now for 15 years, working with corporate professionals, and I do also do some coaching on a small scale for business owners. I've had the privilege of speaking to audiences in over 43 different countries around their own personal and professional branding, as well as how they are putting themselves in front of their audiences, whether that be looking for a job, looking for a promotion, or looking for more clients. I'm very thankful to have found LinkedIn very early in 2003, getting on board with them and really doing some powerful work with them and having been ranked as a top professional, especially in the professional development and coaches arena. So a great opportunity to really build an incredible network. And I've had the privilege of helping over 1,000 clients move into leadership roles and make life-changing career moves, whether they're moving within their own organizations or moving outside of the organization. I've published a book, Suck It Up, Buttercup, 10 Tough Love Strategies to Get You Off Your Butt and Making Money. It's a great approach for business owners, but also if you're taking ownership of your career, it can be great insights. My client manager, Liz Gilson, is also on the call with us, so she'll be periodically popping in some links for you to follow. And Liz, if you could both put in my LinkedIn profile, a link in case they want to connect with me, as well as a link to the book in case they want to take a peek at it. And later this year, I will be publishing my upcoming book, which is Permission to Dominate, which is kind of a broader umbrella message around a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. Permission to Dominate is not about controlling others, right? This is not, whips and chains. This isn't 50 Shades of Grey. This is about the fact that we spend a lot of time and energy really focused on the things that we feel are holding us back that are external. My boss, the job market, the economy, that coworker that's a pain in the butt, like all these different things that are external to us take a lot of our energy and distract us from the inner circle of what we can control, the locus of control we do have, which is kind of more internal work, as well as some really practical actions we can be taking in our career that has vast impact, but we get distracted. So this is about bringing you back in and showing you how you can own your career, finding that power and that courage to make positive changes in your life and your career. If that sounds like something that resonates with you, put yes in the chat. Make sure you have access to the chat. We're going to do a lot of exchange of information. It's going to be very interactive, but put yes into the chat if that feels like, I really could use that. I really could use that, stop beating my head against things I can't control and get deeper into what I can. Let me give you an overview of how I'm going to kind of deliver this information to you today, what we're going to talk about, because even though this kind of feels very, touchy-feely in a sense, and there's a lot of mindset to this, I'm going to give you some really practical tools today. In fact, there's going to be a lot of great stuff in this PowerPoint. I will send you the slides. Liz has a link that she can put into the chat, so keep an eye open for that. If you click on the link, will you do that now or right after? If you download the chat, you will get access to my email community, and tomorrow I'll be sending out the slides. So there's going to be a lot of powerful information. Just want to let you know, if you don't want to have to memorize it or take quick notes, know that I will share them with you. Here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to get into what does this mean, this idea of kind of dominating your career. And then I'm going to give you 3 practical keys to career growth, whether you're looking to grow in your organization or you're looking to make a transition. I'm also going to talk to you about how to access additional support with me. And then at the end, we'll save some time. We'll do a little bit of Q&A. So let's go ahead and get started. And Cassandra with Computer Coach has just put in the chat that if you just joined us, or even if you were here earlier, go ahead and drop your LinkedIn URL into the chat. You're going to learn a lot about networking today, and being able to have access to each other is so important. So share your LinkedIn URLs, connect with each other, save this chat so that you can have access to amazing people that are here. We have over 21 participants, and everyone holds the key to some kind of universe that might be useful for you. Diving right into this concept of dominate your career. Picked this picture specifically because you are the pilot. You truly are the pilot of your career. A lot of times when clients come to me, they come to me with these limiting beliefs, right? There's ideas that they have in their head about what it means to own their careers. They're very concentrated on their jobs, and sometimes they don't really have a stand. They're not really taking a stand for themselves. And I just want to kind of go through a flip, right? To kind of shift some realities for you, because a lot of limiting beliefs come from the fact that you believe that your employer is responsible for tracking your growth and your performance. And that really is up to you. You are the person who is the custodian of your career, and you're accountable for documenting your successes and for sharing your success stories, being your best ambassador. A lot of times people believe that their boss is responsible for mapping a path to their promotions or career growth. They get very upset when they do great work and I'm not being rewarded. But a lot of times that's happening because you are not speaking to the path that you want, and you're also not putting yourself in a place of visibility. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. Another limited belief is that your employer should pay for your training. And well, look, if your employer provides training, take advantage of it. Learn everything you possibly can, but also know that education and learning is something that you take with you beyond any one employer. And if there's something that you need to learn to advance your career, especially if you are looking to make a big career transition, invest in yourself. Find partners like Computer Coach that can give you many options to finding different types of funding or different types of programs, but create a plan and get yourself educated for your own good. I also hear a lot of noise, right? The distractions of there's no jobs, no one will hire me, I'm too old, I have too big of a gap, not enough experience, I don't have a degree. And I'm here to tell you that all of those can be overcome. It may not be able to be overcome for a specific job. When you look at the total job market, there's always an opportunity out there for you, right? You're never too old. I have clients that are working with me way into their 70s and are landing amazing jobs, right? I've had a client that was out of work for 9 years. She was raising her kids. She had a side business. And after 9 years, decided to come back into the corporate world. Working with me within 4 months, she had a phenomenal job, a title job at the pay rate that she wanted. And a year after that, she got recruited by Microsoft and is just having an amazing career. So beware the things that you're telling yourself are barriers. Sure, there may be things that we need to overcome and maneuver around, but everything can be overcome to make your career amazing. Let me move some things around. Okay. Something that I really want you to understand today is that the job belongs to the employer, but your career belongs to you. And when you start to see the separation between the two of you, you start to claim your power as a professional, right? If this resonates with you, put in the chat, I have the power, right? Remember that old song? Some of you might be old enough. I've got the power. Yes, you even get singing with Coach Liz, but thankfully that's all I'm going to do because I know it can be painful, right? Yeah, let's see it. Let's see it in the chat. I have the power. Nicole has the power. Yes, absolutely. I love this. Victor. Cassandra, Danielle, yes, great, I love it. Kelly, absolutely. You really have a lot of control of where your career goes, and I'm going to show you today how to harness that power and how to put that into practical use. It's important that as I start to share these strategies with you, that you give yourself a moment to believe that you can. During this hour you're going to spend with me for the next 45 minutes, I want you to believe that you can. Because you can learn how to clearly and confidently speak your success. You can provide evidence of your value. And I'll show you how to connect the dots between what you've done, right? Your unique brand and proposition and the opportunities that you're looking to pursue. I'm going to give you some real good recipes for success today. You know, as I'm working with clients, and I've been doing this a long time, and even throughout COVID, when things were so challenging, my clients were landing great new jobs that they loved, and they were getting at least a 25% increase on average. And that's because they're following that special job search formula that I put together for them. And I teach them how to tell stories that open the doors to better opportunities. And while I certainly can't do 6 months of coaching with you today in the next 45 minutes, I am going to give you all of the highlights. So welcome again, and let's really dive in. I'm going to give you 3 keys to creating that great control that you need, that excitement about growing your career. We're going to start with developing a unique professional brand and what that means and how you can do it. We're going to talk about mastering the art of storytelling. Storytelling is a key component to being a professional and growing as a leader in today's job market, in today's business world. And we'll talk about building and nurturing a network, which is one of the greatest keys to success in anything that you set out to do. Let's dive in now. We're going to start really talking about your professional brand. I want to do a little bit of an experiment with you. So I'm going to count to 5. I'm going to give you about 5 seconds, and I'd like you to put in the chat either the name, the initials, just a 1-word response. Who's the worst boss you ever had, or the worst job, right? You don't have to put their whole name, first name, initials of the company. Just put it on there. Like, who was the worst boss you ever had? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. I got tons of answers in here. Hey, DeAndre, great to see you. And Jim, you're here too. Wonderful. Like, this was immediate, right? All right, now I've got another question for you. And let's see if we can get some answers in the chat as well. All right, get ready. 1, 2, 3. Here's the next question. What was your biggest work win last year? Put that in the chat. You don't have to describe the whole thing. Put 1 or 2 words that just represents. What was your biggest work win last year? Ooh, somebody got a Marquee Award. New career direction, promotions. Oh, a little bit of a pause here. Okay, there we go. Bonus. Joining Computer Coach. Yay, Danielle. Congratulations. They are so lucky to have you, and I'm sure you're enjoying the team. Okay, not as many answers. And here's what I want to speak to that. Some of you had an immediate answer. I think some of you had to really think about that. And that's because we can get a little distracted. It's human nature. And I just want to say that it's easy sometimes to get caught up in the negative stories. And I'll tell you from observation and from testing that we tend to do a really good job about speaking about what's making us unhappy in our workplace, right? It's kind of a joke, right? Like everybody talks about, you know, the butthead coworker or the bad boss, or can you believe the silly thing that they're doing? Like we resonate to that a lot. We commiserate. There's an audience for commiserating. You can talk about negative things in your job, and as long as you're not like super overdoing it, most of our people are really going to resonate. You're going to have a ready audience. We don't do as good of a job talking about what's been great in our job. Chances are that the people in your world know about your bad job. They know about your bad boss, but they probably don't know the great thing that happened to you last year. They probably don't know the big achievement you had last year. If that's kind of resonating as true for you, just put the word true in the chat. It may not resonate to everyone, but if you can see where like, I don't really speak enough of my successes, whether you're talking about the negative or not, doesn't matter. But if you find that I'm not speaking about my successes enough, put true in there. Yeah, somebody mentioned, let's see, who was it? Nicole, I've had a hard time about it. Yeah. We don't learn to how to speak to ourselves. And I'm going to teach you some of this because your boss, HR, interviewers, your age, a job cap, a toxic workplace, and difficult people do not control your brand. You control your brand. And I want to invite you today to be really courageous about formulating what that brand is. And we've heard that term a lot, right? You're a professional brand. You need to have a professional brand. You need to have a great profile. You need brand is the new buzzword. What the heck does it mean? Let me give you some clues. Overall, you know, your brand, it's that unique combination of what is you, skills, expertise, values, characteristics that set you apart from others. It includes also kind of how you make people feel and how they perceive you, how well you're interacting with teams and so forth, right? All of that forms a brand, the impression that you give people, the relationships that you build. And in essence, it's really the intentional and strategic representation of yourself as a favorable impression to others that builds trust. And I focus on this intentional piece because a lot of us, we don't really think about being, I want to be known as this in the job market. And I want to invite you to understand that oftentimes your professional brand is what you say it is. Therefore, you get to be deliberate about this, right? Now, one of the most obvious places, two of the most obvious places that you can build this professional brand is in these containers that we use, these documents that are critical to our career. A resume, right? That's a key tool for capturing and conveying your professional brand. It serves as a summary of your career, your skills, your experiences, your qualifications. And honestly, a lot of you are suffering from a vague resume. So we want to really think about being specific as to who we are. And similarly, LinkedIn also allows you to kind of have this online version of your resume, but it's kind of resume on steroids that allows you to build relationships and community. And taking control over the narrative in the two of these is critical. Now, I'm going to ask you to put into chat, I'm going to ask for a confession, if you're willing. How many of you have actively updated your LinkedIn profile within the past 6 months? Just tell me yes or no. Yes or no. I've actively and deliberately updated my LinkedIn profile in the last 6 months. Oh, I'm seeing some yeses. The yeses. Okay. So, I've got a few people saying no. Got a mix. Right? Yeah. This is your opportunity to define who you are. These are your locus of control. So I want to really recommend that you take advantage of owning this. And let me tell you how important it is to have an updated resume. It happens at least once or twice a quarter where somebody will reach out and they'll say to me, Liz, I have the offer of my life. They're offering me an opportunity to interview for my dream job, but I need to give them a resume tomorrow and I haven't updated my resume in 6 years. Right? This is heartbreaking for me because truly a really good resume cannot be done overnight. And frankly, I'm beyond the point of staying up all night to work on projects, right? If you want a quality resume, you got to do it before you need it, right? Before you have pressure. You really want to keep up with that. And let's talk a little bit on this. This is not a resume course, but we're going to touch on this. We're going to do a test. I'm going to show you a document, a resume as it was shared with me. I'm going to give you 6 seconds, and I just want you to put in the chat, what does this person do for a living? If you can tell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What does that person do for a living? Put that in the chat. No idea. Manages people, financial advisor, something in finance, manager. All right, so some fuzziness around that. Now let's look at that same document redone as a powerful resume. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What does that person do for a living? CFO. CFO. Yeah, a lot more clarity, right? There's a declaration on that page of what that person is. Now, I get it. Some of you are, some of you know exactly what you're going to go be, right? I'm going to be the director of IT. I'm going to be the senior network person. I'm going to be the cybersecurity person. Maybe I'm going to be a CISO. But others of you a little bit more broad. So there's ways to be able to capture that in a resume. The idea is to be as deliberate as you can, because these are basic things for you to do. Adding recent and fresh achievements. Many of you had something really big that happened to you last year. Is it on your LinkedIn profile? Is it on your resume? Make sure that it is, because you want to have a fresh, updated resume that aligns to current trends, that if somebody puts an opportunity in front of you, you're able to quickly reply, right? You don't have to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning trying to update 6 years worth of history on a resume. And beware of underestimating yourself. There is a time for humility, but there's also a time for being really bold in facts of what you have achieved, right? And being able to succinctly express what you have contributed. So I really want to kind of give you this idea that it's okay for you to powerfully tell your own story. And for those of you who are kind of, well, and this updating your resume does not matter if you're looking for a job or if I want to be with my company for 10 years. There's so many reasons your resume can be asked of you. Even if they want to promote you, they may ask you for a resume. Make sure it's updated. Some other things to keep in mind when you are in a job and you just want to grow with your company is that there are ways in which you can be promoted and ways that you're not going to be promoted. One of those is having a career plan, as opposed to waiting for somebody to pick you out of the ether and say, oh, I think this person might be good at this. You've got to be in control of that. Outlining those goals with your manager or your skip level managers, if you have access, amazing. Volunteering for special projects can also be really important, as long as they're within reasonable work hours. I am not a fan of taking on all this extra work and working nights and weekends and killing yourself for a job. Like, if you're already in that situation, we need to talk. That's not a great place. And a matter of fact, Liz Gilson, if you would please, if you're finding that you're really thinking, I need to do some more of these things, but I'm not exactly sure how, I am offering everybody on this call access to a free strategy session with me. And Liz will put the link on there. You do have to sign up. There's a calendar registration. Liz has just put it in the chat. So feel free to take advantage of that. Because if you know that you need to be more visible, if you know you have to document your achievements, if you've got to be better at networking and you're not sure how, then we should be talking. Okay? Sharing of the success stories, the storytelling, it seems like it should be easy for us to talk about ourselves. But it isn't. And we are sometimes just really shy about, what's the line between humility and bragging. And there's a huge space in between, but we get really caught up and then we get really vague and we underserve ourselves. We undersell ourselves, we under-promote ourselves, and we're not our greatest ambassadors. So this section here is going to invite you to really be your own best ambassador, because the truth of the matter is that there's always going to be somebody out there, right? Maybe a few somebodies who cannot see your worth. The core of today, the core of dominating your career is that you make sure that it isn't you. That if there's somebody out there that's undervaluing you, it's not you. Put it in the chat. Put not me. Not me. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be the one. I'd love to see you come in with the not me's. Tell me you're with me. Absolutely. Nicole, not me. Vicky, not me. Jim, not me. Yes. Because you have to be the champion of your own career. And you're enough. We talked about this a little bit already. Like, nobody starts at the top. You are far more qualified that you think every piece of your career is sellable. And if you find that there is a gap, like you're trying to apply for XYZ job and you need to have XYZ certification, then go get it. Don't wait for anybody to pay for it. Don't wait for anybody to gift it to you. Like, if you can get access to things and you don't have to invest dollars, great. But if you need to invest in you, do it. Many of you are asking employers to pay you $100,000, $150,000, $200,000, $250,000, $300,000, $350,000. Spend some money on you. Be the first one that's willing to pay you to be better. And if you're really, really stuck, then either work with a coach, join a mastermind, or get an accountability group. These can be wonderful tools because the story of your career is constant and it can be told in so many different places. Obvious ones, right? Your resume, your cover letter, and your LinkedIn profile. I will challenge you that some of you are not really speaking powerfully to your achievements in your one-on-ones with leaders or mentors. You're listening a lot, you're hearing what they say, and you're just kind of not saying much. And I want to invite you to be a lot more interactive. Obvious one is job interviews. Remember when I told you that your professional brand is what you say it is? Job interviews is a perfect example of that because they don't know you. And 99% of the way that they're going to choose you is through what you say to them. Yes, they may check references. They may look, of course, going to look at your resume and so forth. But for the most part, almost every reason that they're going to have to choose you comes from you. So you got to get really good at giving them a reason to love you. You need to practice things where you tell your story in the networking events, in the break room, social events, family gatherings, at home, and in the mirror. Oftentimes, we're really tough with ourselves. And I want to encourage you to spend some time making sure that you're telling yourselves the powerful stories, that you're reminding yourself how good you are. I have a process that I go through when I work with clients. They do this just fairly big assessment when they first come into working with me. And we capture a lot of information about their career. And the two comments that I hear the most is when they first get their assessment, they're like, oh, this is a little bit deeper than I thought. And the second comment that I get when they're done was, this is one of the most powerful things I've ever done because I really remembered who I am. We tend to carry a lot of limiting beliefs with us. I worked with a client a few years back who had an incredible background, had just a great career. She had a PhD in artificial intelligence. This woman was so incredibly qualified, but she'd been looking for a job on her own for about 2 years. She was in a toxic workplace, really wanted to get out, but wanted to be really deliberate about what she had next and was looking to move to a different state and had this vision of buying a house on the lake. And when we started working together, after we had gotten all her documents done and we're going to start going into the job search piece, she said to me, Coach Liz, I just want you to know I've been doing this for a long time. And, if we work together, it's okay if it doesn't work. Now, let me tell you, it may have been okay with her if it didn't work, but it certainly wasn't okay with me. Now, my engagements are typically 6 months, and not everybody lands in 6 months, but typically soon after they do. But this really just ripped me to my soul because she was already in a place of such incredible hopelessness. So my job was to teach her how to really elevate herself, how to speak powerfully of herself. And I developed this rally call for her called House on the Lake, right? We're going after that house on the lake. We're going to get the house on the lake. And eventually, within that's our 6-month engagement, she got an incredible offer, 40% increase in salary, amazing new team she was going to lead. So we kind of had like a little bit of a break in our coaching because she was moving. Maybe about a few weeks later when we kind of got back in track, because now I'm supporting her in her onboarding into the new role, we start to Zoom. And I don't see her. And at first I don't really know what I'm looking at. And then I realize I'm looking at water, and I see ducks and I see trees. And then slowly the phone starts to move, and I see this beautiful white house on a hill up from the waterline. And then finally I see her, and she's just beaming. And she says to me, "Coach Liz, I wanted the first thing you saw to be my house on the lake. This is the reason that I do this work, because it all has to start with your belief that it can be done. And then I provide you the steps to get there." But I hope that for all of you, that you invest in what I'm going to be teaching you, because all of you have a dream. It may be a house on the lake. It may be more of a time with family. It may be vacations, right? There's something that's worth you taking the time to learn how to tell the stories of your career. Now, this thing here, I do not share often. And if you've not signed up yet to get the slides, this is your opportunity to sign up to get the slides, because this piece right here is typically exclusive to my clients. It is the game changer of all game changers in how I teach people to tell stories in their interviews, in conversations with their bosses, in networking. So Liz, if you can pop in the link again on how they can get access to this, really want you to really be able to spend time with this. Most of the time, people fail in interviews because they talk too much. They don't know how to be succinct in delivering a message. I teach a proprietary method of interviewing called Spark Stories, which starts with your situation, where you ground yourself. You explain what role were you in and what was happening. And this is quick, 10, 20 seconds. You explain why it was important, what was happening, and why did it matter, right? You give the urgency. Then you spend a little bit more time, about a minute or so, talking about the actions that you took. And here's where the really gets dicey, because a lot of times you are including so many other people in your story that you water down your own importance. Right? You become insignificant in your own stories because it's about the team or the people or the other people. And you say words that devalue you, like helped or assisted. You are nobody's assistant. We're going to talk about your actions. And clearly you didn't do it alone. Everybody knows that. But we got to get granular about what did you do? Not us, not not we. I led the team. I led the project. Until you get to that result. What was the outcome? And if it's measurable, even better. And then the golden ticket to this new opportunity is that connection piece. How is it relevant to the people that you're talking to? Right? What have you learned about this opportunity, about this company that you're going to be interviewing with? And how do you connect the dots for them? Because what happens to most people is some folks are actually pretty decent at 1, 2, 3. On number 4 and never do number 5. They tell this vague story and then they lean back and hope that that hiring manager can see the relevance. And that, even though it's common, it's a little lazy. You gotta do the work for them. You don't hope that they can see the connection. You tell them the connection. You put that right in front of them on a silver platter so they can see how you fit in. If that makes sense, put the word sense or say, I see it in the chat. If that's resonating with you, let me know in the chat. I see it. I see it. Yes. Great. Yeah. This is how you become a great storyteller. These stories are 1.5 to 2 minutes of talk time. When I test a lot of my clients, oftentimes they're talking 3 to 5 minutes answering one question, and it's too long. People lose track. Succinct, specific, and you have a storyline. All right, there's your formula. And the reason that I think is so important, and I'm not going to go through this entire slide, but it literally is taking 4 to 6 interviews with one company for one job, right? You're going to have to tell a lot of stories. So I teach my clients how to build a whole inventory of stories and practice them, because we think we're going to be good at talking about ourselves, and chances are you're not. They're actually really weak about telling stories about ourselves. So embrace the practicing of storytelling. Because as you start networking, the better storyteller you are, the more connection you're going to be able to build, the better relationships you're going to be able to build. So let's take just a kind of quick little stretch because we're in the home stretch now. We're going to talk about networking and how to take this professional brand that you've built, how to tell a really good story about your professional brand, and now how to find the people to tell the story to. Your network is composed of a lot of different components. And a lot of it is people that you know, as well as people in the industry. So some of the pieces of this are, of course, having your trusted inner circle, your friends, personal mentors. Look, I've gotten so many great opportunities for speaking and consulting through cousins, right? How many of you, your family, your spouse even, knows exactly what you do for a living? Right? Sometimes we have failed to tell our stories to the people immediately around us. You know, we go to church every Sunday, they know us, but they don't know what we do, right? You don't know what kind of connections are out there, who might be of help to you in developing your career, or who you might be able to mentor if people don't understand what you do. You have an opportunity to deliberately pick your gurus. Who do you follow? What newsletters are you involved with? What conferences do you go to? Whether your employer pays for it or you go on your own. Right? How do you build internal allies within your company, especially if you're looking to be promoted? And how do you pay attention? Being deliberate about paying attention to the industry and the emerging trends. Most of you are on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, that's a great place to find leaders, companies, newsletters, even announcements about conferences, podcasts. Get involved. Rise above the job and look at the totality of your career, as well as the opportunities to have a presence and be connected to the industry. And now for those of you, this is another great reason to make sure that you get access to these slides, because a lot of times you just don't know, like, who do I network with? So I have a checklist for my clients that I use that gives you a whole bunch of ideas of who you can be connecting with in your life, in your work life, as well as strategic connections. So make sure that you capture this information. Make sure you sign up. Liz, if you could share again the link, make sure you have access to the slides, because I want you to have this. These are practical tools that have made life-changing career changes for my clients. Like, really big life-changing moves. And it's just such a beautiful thing to be able to know that you have people that can champion you. Now, one of the things that I find is a barrier for some folks in terms of networking is, okay, I know who I'm supposed to be engaging with, but I don't know what to say. So I'm going to share with you some language around this. I'm going to be gifting you here some content to help break the ice. I will say that as you start building a network, start now, today. Don't wait, especially don't wait till you need a job to start talking to people. And I find this happens a lot. And keep in mind, I coach people in two different ways. I have people come to me and they're already wanting to make a career transition, but I also coach over 15 leaders, CIOs, CMOs, CHROs every single month. And some of them I've been coaching them for years because I do full career management. And keeping up with their network is a constant thing, because nobody likes when you come out of the blue, you haven't talked to somebody for 5 years, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I need a job. Can you help me? Nobody likes that. Instead, take the time to build genuine relationships. Listen to what's happening in their world. How can you help them? And then if they ask you how they can help, be prepared with a very specific answer. Do you need an introduction? Do you need a reference letter? I have introductions on there twice. Okay, great. Introductions, they're a big thing. Let's talk about some language here. There's a language for your inner circle where you can ask them if they can spend time with you just to help you kind of brainstorm about your job search. If you want to request an introduction, I have a script that you can use, and you can customize these as needed for your specific needs, whether you're looking for a job or looking to be promoted. And then, right here. And then outreach. If you have to just kind of cold outreach to someone, I've given you some language for that as well. Most people, if you ask them to share their experience with you, are willing to do that. If you tell them, hey, can you help me find a job? That's too big of an ask, right? You can only ask that for people that you know are your trusted mentors, inner circle, and you have that warm relationship. Otherwise, you need to kind of start at getting to know people, having them share their experiences with you, and then being prepared to answer when they ask you, what do you want to do? What kind of roles are you pursuing? How can I help you? Get really clear at practicing exactly what you're going to say. Let's do a little bit of a summary, right? The first thing is having the understanding and the fierce belief that you are the owner of your career. And if you agree with that, if after what we've been through now for the past, 44 minutes, if you are on board with that, put the word owner in the chat. I'd love to see the word owner in the chat. Let's take a look. Let's see how many of you are willing to be owners. I love it. Jim, DeAndre, Kelly, Victor. Yes, I'm seeing it. All right. I also am getting notifications that many of you have booked a strategy session. There are a limited number of those available. So if you want to have more conversations, make sure that you do go ahead and schedule that free strategy session with me. And Liz, if you can put the link back in there, that would be great. You are the owner of your career, and it's up to you to develop and share your professional brand. Be confident about who you are, no matter what has happened. Look, if you're in a role right now and you know that you're underappreciated and underpaid, that is external. That has nothing to do with you. That's circumstantial. It doesn't have anything to do with your value of what you can offer in another opportunity. So make sure that you are finding the things to be confident about and become a great storyteller about those things, about your career, about your skills, about the brilliant thought process that you can bring to a new organization. And deliberately and intentionally and consistently grow and nurture a thriving network of people who champion you. And my guidance is that every single month you should be keeping in touch with at least 3 people that you already know and adding 3 new people to your network. 3 and 3. Keep in touch with at least 3 people that are already existing and add 3 new people to your network. That kind of rounds us up into this idea of we have ownership of what we do. And for some of you, you've gotten today everything that you need. Like you've gotten some tools, you're going to get the slides and you know what you're going to do. And it's great. Other of you may be thinking, I need some help. Right? And of course, there are resources through Computer Coach that you can look into. And if you're sitting there and thinking, I really would like to work with Coach Liz, then schedule some time to talk to me. I offer 3 and 6 month engagements. They're highly strategic and customized. While I have many tools and I have formulas for how we can achieve your goals, everything is customized to your unique path. And it's absolutely transformational. I had a client that came to me, been working at the same company for 8 years, and he was a director of IT, and that was the highest level of IT available in the organization. He reported into the director of strategy, who had no experience in IT whatsoever. So he had now been in this leadership position for several years, nowhere to go. He's kind of answering all the technology questions for the company, and it's a great company to work for, 0 career path. So we worked together to really put together his story. I trained him on how to speak about himself powerfully. And once we had done some work on his Spark stories, I started introducing him to my network because I coach over 11 CIOs throughout the entire US. So I've got a lot of technology connections. So I connected him to one of my CIO clients. They had a great conversation. He spoke very powerfully about himself, really was impressive. So this client of mine had recently come across a job that wasn't appropriate for them, but referred my new client. Long story short, he interviewed and he landed that role. And he went from being a director where he was stuck to being the CIO of an organization within 2 months. So massive transformation is possible when you are able to get networked properly, when you've got the right story and the right confidence. And my program is really looking at you being fiercely accountable for doing certain steps, and you're very deeply supported in it. So I want to take a moment to just thank you and to remind you again that you are absolutely 100% the owner of your career and that you have everything you need to be wildly successful. It is unlimited opportunity out there. And I can tell you, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've worked in every type of economy. My clients always land amazing new opportunities. It may take a little longer in some economies than others, but they always do. So thank you for your time today. Danielle, I know you're going to kind of take it up to do a little bit of a wrap up, but before we go into that, I have one more request in the chat. And I see your thank yous coming through, and I so appreciate that. Of all the things we talked about today, what was your golden nugget? What was the thing that really resonated with you? What's the thing that you're going to take and like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to use this? If you could take just a moment and put in the chat, what was your golden nugget in today's presentation? Spark stories, realizing limiting beliefs, crafting some incredible stories. Yes, keep my network warm. I love it. I love this. Anyone else? Anyone else? Oh, there we go. Be bold. Tell your story. Yes. Within your current employer or as you're interviewing, you have to be the ambassador of your own stories. Yes, I love it. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate all the input.
To learn more about our training programs, classes, and what sets us apart, please visit our website at www.computercoach.com.